Welcome, everybody. I'm not going to speak about the eyes today, don't worry. But I just wanted to point out how interesting it is that the week after we were talking about the brilliance of the cornea, I don't know if you saw the news, a hospital in Israel has just designed and implanted the first artificial cornea. So wonderful news. But I'm not speaking about eyes. Don't worry. I had a few people contact me saying that this is getting a little bit too gruesome. So let's talk about something.
Menachem.
Yes.
Eliezer had a cornea transplant a few years ago.
I remember.
But what's the difference?
The transplant that he had was a real cornea.
Okay.
Whereas this is an artificially made one.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Anyway, this week's Joy of Gratitude has been sponsored as a merit for Menachem ben Khartoum for a refuah shlema and chizuk, for Adel bat Miriam for chizuk, and for Lily bat Betty for hatzlacha in ruchnius. Now, I recently came across this old joke. It will probably be familiar to many of you. So Mrs. Johnson, she goes to the doctor with a sore throat. And he looks inside, because he says he gives her some medicine with very strict instructions to drink the syrup after a bath. Now the doctor's thinking, that way the combination of the steam and the syrup and the medicine should cure the problem. Anyway, a few weeks later, Mrs. Johnson comes back and she's complaining, this treatment that you gave me, it hasn't worked. So the doctor says, okay, well, did you follow the instructions? Did you drink the medicine after your bath, Mrs. Johnson? So she says, well, to be honest, doctor, I didn't. By the time I drank the bath, there wasn't room for the medicine. Now, this joke, yes, I know. This joke reminded me of a parable that the Chofetz Chaim gives. Now, you see, there's a verse that talks about a very special instruction that we are given, which is to remember what happened to Miriam. While the Jewish people were in the desert, Miriam speaks Lashon Hara about her brother Moshe, and she ends up getting a skin condition called tzara'at, which is badly translated as leprosy, but in fact it's a physical manifestation of a spiritual malaise. And Ramban explains on this verse that says, remember what happened to Miriam. He explains that on a daily basis, we should verbally, meaning we should speak it out. We should say that verse and remember what happened to Miriam. That even though she was speaking about her brother who she cared about, and she was trying to help, but the reality is she shouldn't have spoken negatively to somebody else. She should have approached him privately and discussed the situation. And because she didn't, she suffered the consequences and she was rebuked. And Ramban says, if we say this verse every single day, it will remind us not to speak negatively, because if this is what can happen to the great Miriam, how much more so do we have to be careful about what we say and the bad things we say about other people? If we say this verse every single day, we won't come to speak Lashon Hara, says the Ramban. And therefore, if you open your Siddur, most Siddurim have straight after Shacharit, after the morning prayers, they have as one of the 6 remembrances, the 6 times that it says in the Torah to remember something, as one of the 6 remembrances, you will find this verse. And there are many people who say this verse every single day, straight after morning prayers. So the Chofetz Chaim asks the following question. He says, one second, there are many people who say this every single day, and yet they still speak Lashon Hara. They still speak negatively about other people. So was the Ramban wrong? Does the treatment not work? So in answer, the Chofetz Chaim says the following story, gives the following parable. A man goes to the doctor with a sore throat, and the doctor gives him a lozenge, a cough drop to suck. He says, you suck this lozenge every single day for 2 weeks, you'll get better very soon. So the guy goes to, he takes the lozenges and he puts the first one in his mouth when he gets home, and it's bitter. It doesn't taste very good. He thinks, you know what, I can't suck this. I'll just swallow it. And that's what he does religiously. Every single day, he takes this lozenge out of the container, he puts it in his mouth, and he swallows it. And 2 weeks later, he's not better. So he goes back to the doctor and he says, I don't understand. Why is this medicine not working? So the doctor says, well, tell me what you've been doing. So he says, listen, every single day I took out the pill, I put it in my mouth, I swallowed it, and it's not getting better. And the doctor says, swallowed? Swallowed, of course it didn't work. It's a lozenge. It's supposed to be sucked. You suck it and your throat gets better. This, says the Chofetz Chaim, is the reason why someone can take the treatment that Ramban recommends and yet not get cured. Because the idea isn't just to babble the words meaninglessly without thinking. That's like swallowing the lozenge in one go. Instead, when saying those words about remember what happened to Miriam, a person needs to think about what it means, what it's telling you, that it's dangerous to speak Lashon Hara, it's dangerous to speak negatively about other people. If you don't follow the instructions on the bottle, of course it's not going to work. And this is exactly the same with gratitude. It's exactly the same because our sages set us up every single day with a whole series of blessings to say. And these are the perfect medicine for building appreciation and joy. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me clothes. Thank you, Hashem, for freeing up my limbs so that I can move. Thank you, Hashem, for straightening my back. Every single day we say these things and so many more. So 1 second, how is it that the medicine isn't working? How is it possible that we will often find people who say these blessings every single day, and yet they don't seem to be happy? How's that possible? What happened to the medicine? And the answer is very, very simply, it's exactly the same. If you don't follow the instructions on the bottle, it's not going to work. If you gabble your way through those blessings, if we swallow those words without thought, of course it's not going to work. Now, this particular week is the 20th week of Joy of Gratitude. When I started it, I had no idea how it would be received. I had no idea how long it would continue. So let me ask you a question. Are you starting to feel the joy yet? I'm telling you, the medicine works. The medicine works, but you've got to take it correctly. It's essential you take it correctly. So here's the challenge. Starting from tomorrow, choose one blessing every day. You can choose a different one every day. And give it a little bit of thought. Appreciate what you're saying and let it filter into you. And then you're going to start feeling the joy. Next week, I'm not going to be doing a live session as I have the merit of taking my parents at that time for their second vaccination. However, I am going to pre-record this session and I'll send it out on the usual forums. So meanwhile, have an amazing week filled with tremendous joy. Thank you, everybody.